A'ja Wilson, the MVP of the WNBA, the greatest player in women's basketball that nobody cares about. She was caught on tape a year ago.
Us as black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point.
Preaching to, wagging her finger at, telling Kelsey Plum, her teammate, about her, white privilege and how Paige Becker understands it and blah, blah. Anyway, this old clip has gone viral this week.
And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege and, like, pushes her over the top, in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
Did you catch the latest showdown between A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark? It was fire on the court, but what happened after the game has everyone talking. Wilson's hilarious reaction to Clark's game is breaking the internet, and trust me, you don't want to miss this. Picture this. The arena was packed, fans were going wild, and these two basketball powerhouses were ready to battle it out. Wilson was a force in the paint, blocking shots left and right, while Clark was draining threes like it was nothing.
One of the more interesting aspects of this fanhood is that some of the biggest supporters of Caitlin Clark are not whites. They're actually black males. But that's the issue, though. I don't understand this. Many of these people, like A'ja, are so used to being able to dispense and force white guilt upon others. This has become, Jason, and tell me if you agree or disagree, this NBA playoff ratings dip post Caitlin Clark is the sports version of white flight and gentrification.
At one point, Clark threw a no-look pass that had everyone's jaws on the floor. Then Wilson answered with a monster block that sent the crowd into a frenzy. You think that was intense? Just wait. The real drama started after the final buzzer. Wilson had something to say about Clark's performance, and it's not what you'd expect. You won't believe what came out of her mouth next. Let's just say, it's got everyone talking for all the right reasons. Wilson's post-game comments took an unexpected turn. Instead of the usual praise or criticism, she threw out a term you'd never expect to hear in basketball: reparations. But why would a WNBA superstar jokingly ask for compensation from a rookie?
The way this thing was going viral, like you said, Jason, and I saw the comments, which I was liberally retweeting on Twitter, there should be a hashtag now, Stop A'ja Hate.
Let's start there. Is that a compliment that she understands her white privilege?
I mean, what is she really saying? Like, hey, white girl, you know what, you cracker-ass cracker? You have a lot of white guilt, and I approve. But it's amazing. But this is the problem that a lot of people have with Caitlin Clark fans and supporters. They don't buy into it.
Picture this. The game's over, everyone's catching their breath, and A'ja Wilson steps up to the mic. You're thinking she's gonna talk about strategy or teamwork, right? Nope, she drops this bombshell. I need some reparations from Caitlin Clark. Wait, what? Reparations? In basketball? That's when things got wild. Now, before you start thinking this is some serious beef, let me tell you, it was all in good fun. Wilson was cracking up as she said it, and everyone around her was losing it too. It's like when your friend crushes you in a video game, and you jokingly demand they buy you dinner to make up for it. That's the vibe Wilson was going for. But why reparations? Well, if you saw Clark on the court, you'd understand. This rookie was out there making seasoned pros look like they were playing in slow motion. Imagine trying to guard someone who's basically a human highlight reel. That's what Wilson and her teammates were up against. The best part, Clark didn't miss a beat. She fired back with her own playful response, thanking Wilson for the compliment and basically saying, "Bring it on." It's like watching two chess masters compliment each other's moves while still plotting their next attack.
But to me, it was a message being sent to Caitlin Clark of like, you want to come into our league, this is how you need to be. And I think it's a message to Nike. I probably tend to think it wasn't even on accident. Knew she was being recorded, knew it would get out there. And it was, because I think this was a year ago, and it's gone viral now this week. Again, as I talked about last week, based off the Ethan Strauss deal, A'ja Wilson has a signature shoe and logo with Nike. No one's gonna buy her shoe. So there's a mindset that A'ja has to adopt to justify getting treatment she knows she doesn't deserve.
This whole exchange blew up online faster than one of Clark's three-pointers. Fans were sharing clips, making memes, and loving every second of it. It wasn't just basketball fans either. People who couldn't tell a layup from a free throw were getting in on the fun. But here's the real kicker. This moment showed us something special about women's basketball. You've got two fierce competitors who just battled it out on the court, and instead of any drama, they're cracking jokes and showing mad respect for each other's game. It's like they're saying, yeah, we're rivals, but we're also part of something bigger. This kind of back and forth isn't just fun for the fans, it's breathing new life into the sport. People who might never have tuned into a WNBA game are suddenly interested. They want to see what all the fuss is about. And let me tell you, once they start watching, they're hooked. Wilson and Clark aren't just players, they're becoming the faces of a new era in women's basketball. An era where the competition is fierce, the skills are off the charts, and the personalities are just as entertaining off the court as they are on it. Speaking of off-the-chart skills, Caitlin Clark is redefining what it means to be a rookie. But here's the real question. Is the WNBA ready for the storm she's bringing? Because this isn't just about breaking records, it's about breaking the mold.
You hate it when they're here. You don't like their presence. Oh my God, look at what they're doing. They're so awful. Then when they leave, the Caitlin flight, oh my God, I can't, what do we do now? Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah, it's a good analogy. Yes, it is.
And these players that are now complaining, if there are any, about the ratings, about being abandoned. Well, wait a minute. So that has become something that for them, that word, problematic, and it's also set up a cultural debate on the other side of the street. Many of you were the very same ones that was pointing the finger and saying you're racist and we don't want or need your support. So in theory, you're getting what you want and you should be happy for the lower ratings. So be careful what you wish for.
Let's talk about the Clark effect. It's like a tornado hit the WNBA and everyone's still trying to catch their breath. This isn't your average rookie making waves. We're talking about a full-on tsunami of talent that's changing the game from the inside out. Remember how packed the arena was for that Wilson-Clark showdown? That's not a one-time thing. Clark's arrival in the league has sent ticket sales through the roof. The Indiana Fever, they went from averaging 4,067 fans per game last season to, well, let's just say they might need a bigger arena. It's like every game is suddenly the hottest ticket in town. But it's not just about butts and seats. Clark's games are all over TV. We're talking 36 out of 40 regular season games on national television.
Clark's shoe, whenever that is released, comes out, they ought to call it the air suppression. Because basically they are marketing A'ja Wilson by suppressing anything having to do with the most popular player in the league.
Since you brought it up, I'm going to touch on it just for a bit. The ratings, I believe 2 Sundays ago with Caitlin Clark, she drew 1.8 million viewers on an NFL Sunday. I really do. And I think moving forward, I think that number is going to, as the playoffs continue on, I think that number is going to continue to come down.
I wonder, this actually needs to be studied. What other sports league has diminishing ratings as you get closer to the championship?
10 of those, they're on the big networks, ESPN, ABC, CBS. That's prime time, folks. When was the last time you saw women's basketball getting this kind of airtime? Now, you might be thinking, sure, she's popular, but can she really hang with the pros? Well, let me tell you what A'ja Wilson had to say about that. Remember, this is coming from one of the best in the game. She's pretty incredible. I mean, you watch her, and it's just unguardable. There's nothing anybody can do to stop it. When a player like Wilson says you're unguardable, you know you're doing something right. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about Clark dominating. It's about how she's pushing everyone else to step up their game. Wilson didn't stop at calling Clark incredible. She said, you basically just live with what she's going to do to you every single night. You contain it as best you can. Think about that. A league MVP is talking about just trying to contain a rookie. That's insane. This rivalry between Clark and players like Wilson, it's not just good for them. It's great for the entire league. We're seeing skill levels skyrocket, strategies evolve, and players pushing themselves to new limits. It's like Clark brought a whole new energy to the court, and everyone's feeding off it. And let's be real, this kind of buzz doesn't happen often in women's sports. Clark's arrival in the WNBA is creating the kind of excitement you usually only see with the top male athletes. She's not just changing games, she's changing perceptions.
She's the Tim Duncan of the WNBA. Hey, that's great. I love Tim Duncan, great player. Doesn't sell shoes, doesn't drive TV ratings. That's not what he does, That's who Aja Wilson is. It's all just it's endless reparations. Give me things I don't deserve, and white girl, you take a backseat to me.
I think exactly is one of the reasons why for the past 20 some odd years, nobody has cared about this league, why there is certainly an antipathy towards it. That's what these young ladies, these fine feminist athletes seem to be asking for and almost begging for. But here's the issue. They don't want the ramifications of such action.
People who never gave women's basketball a second glance are suddenly tuning in, curious to see what all the fuss is about. But here's the thing, it's not just about the highlight reels or the flashy plays. Clark's impact goes way beyond the court. She's bringing new fans to the sport, inspiring young players, and showing the world that women's basketball can be just as thrilling, just as competitive, and just as worthy of attention as any other sport. This is the kind of moment that can redefine a league. Clark's not just a rising star, she's a catalyst for change. She's proving that women's basketball can draw a crowd, dominate airwaves, and create the kind of excitement that turns casual viewers into die-hard fans. Hold up, Clark's bringing in the crowds, but there's a dark side to all this attention. Why are some WNBA stars saying the game isn't fun anymore? It's not just about the highlight reels and packed arenas. Behind the scenes, there's a serious conversation happening that's shaking up the world of women's basketball. Remember Aja Wilson's hilarious reparations comment? Well, it turns out there's more to the story. Wilson recently opened up about something that's been weighing on her and other players in the league.
Charles Barkley talking about the Caitlin Clark phenomenon and the people he blames for blowing this whole Caitlin Clark deal.
People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they try. What is going on here? And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. But these ladies, who I love and respect their game, they couldn't have this thing up.
She straight up admitted that she dreads playing in Indiana because of how fans treat her. Can you imagine stepping onto the court and feeling like the whole crowd is against you? Wilson didn't hold back. She said, "It strips us from the genuine happiness and pureness and love of the game." That's heavy stuff coming from one of the best players in the WNBA. It's like showing up to your favorite hobby and suddenly feeling like you can't enjoy it anymore. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about one player or one team. Wilson's speaking up about a bigger issue that's affecting black players across the league. The criticism they're facing has ramped up, and it's taking a toll. We're talking about professional athletes who love what they do, suddenly feeling like they're walking on eggshells every time they step on the court. Think about it. These women are out there giving it their all, making incredible plays, and pushing the limits of what's possible in basketball. But instead of just focusing on their game, they're having to deal with hostile fans and negative energy. Wilson put it best when she said, "Living like that sucks, but it's something that you have to continue to do." This isn't just about hurt feeling. We're talking about the mental toll this takes on players. Imagine trying to stay focused on your job when you're constantly bracing for the next insult or negative comment. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece while someone's yelling in your ear. Not exactly the ideal conditions for peak performance, right? The WNBA and the Players Union aren't sitting back and letting this slide. They've come out swinging against racism and harassment, making it clear that this kind of behavior has no place in the sport. They're pushing for a fan culture that respects all players, regardless of who they are or where they come from. But here's where it gets tricky. The league is growing, thanks in part to exciting new talents like Caitlin Clark. More eyes on the game should be a good thing, right? But with that growth comes new challenges. How do you balance the excitement of a growing fan base with the need to protect players from toxic behavior? It's not just about policing fans or handing out penalties. This is about changing the whole culture around women's basketball. It's about creating an environment where players can shine without fear, where rivalry stays on the court, and respect rules off it. The irony here is pretty wild. On one hand, we've got moments like Wilson and Clark's playful exchange, showing the best of what women's basketball can be. On the other, we've got this undercurrent of negativity that's threatening to spoil the fun for everyone. But here's the thing. This conversation isn't just about problems. It's about solutions. It's about fans, players, and league officials coming together to create a better future for the sport. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? A league where the biggest drama is on the scoreboard Not in the stands? Alright, let's break this down. We've seen an epic showdown between A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark, a hilarious viral moment, and some real talk about the challenges in women's basketball. But you know what's really cool? How these two superstars can battle it out on the court and still have each other's backs off it. Wilson and Clark are showing us what women's basketball is all about. They're fierce competitors, pushing each other to be better, but they're also keeping it fun and respectful. It's like they're saying, yeah, we're rivals, but we're also part of something bigger. So here's a question for you. How can we, as fans, help create a positive environment that celebrates these amazing athletes and takes the sport to new heights? Think about it. What can we do to make sure the real excitement stays on the court where it belongs?